Welcome to Dynasty Playbook. It's draft time. It's time to party. It's been a long time coming, and we're ready to go. I'm your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me is my co-host, as always, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBombIDP. And I don't know about you, man, but I can't. Tomorrow can't come fast enough.
We're almost there. It's almost here. We've had little to no action for several months now, other than forcefully cramming trades down our league mates' throats. Other than that, nothing going on. We get some draft going. We got the rookie drafts coming next week. Stoked.
Dude, so many drafts coming. And I'm almost upset that we did the hell draft early because it just adds to the party. It just adds to the excitement. But we did get to scratch that itch a little bit early. And it's going to turn out just like it did last year, where a couple of us just made some really dumb picks. And we're probably going to do it again next year too. That's the dumbest part about it.
I like it. At this point, it's just tradition. I mean, we did a freaking auction in February to start the league. There's nothing worse than that. I mean, it doesn't get worse than that. So
yes, it does. If you start an auction on Monday, knowing the NFL season starts on Thursday.
Yeah.
God, how did we ever think that was a good idea?
There's very little of what we actually do that's a good idea.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But one of them is skipping a prospect analysis for today because at this point it's borderline speculation. Let's wait until after the draft. If guys go early that we haven't touched on yet, those will be the first guys we hit. If guys go late that we really liked, we'll retouch them too and be like, where did we screw up? But for today, we're just going to go straight to questions. We're not going to have a forever show to deal with, but we've also got a lot of good questions, so we might have an hour and a half long show anyways. But our first question comes from @14teammocker. And this first one is a really good question. Do you hope older wide receivers go to open roles like Cincinnati, Minnesota, and Minnesota? It just said Min, and I'm like, is that Minneapolis or Minnesota? And younger ones to developmental spots, Denver, Houston, or do you just always want the open spot? First of all, I resent the idea that the Vikings are just an open role. Just because Diggs is not 6'2", 6'3", does not make him completely able to be the number one receiver for a team. On the same hand, he's probably wouldn't hurt to have another guy next to him. Does that mean I want them to take Treadwell or Doxson? No. If they do, I'll cry a little bit. Not like a ton, because I'll know that I'll be able to get Diggs really cheap, and he's still going to produce. And then Cincinnati, that doesn't really feel like an open spot to me either, because Eifert's going to get a ton of red zone looks, even if all of his looks come into red zone. That's going to limit touchdown opportunities for this number 2 wide receiver. And then you got a number 1 like AJ Green, which is such a natural target for Dalton, that a number 2 getting realistic fantasy stats isn't going to happen. I mean, look at Jones. Jones was there. Jones tried to do things, and then Jones didn't do any things. Developmental, for me, the developmental guys, I want more to go to a kind of an established quarterback more so than an open spot. An open spot plus an established quarterback, fantastic. I love it. But I'm more okay with the idea of like these older developed wide receivers going to quarterbacks that need some help. When in Cleveland, I'm not going to want who's super raw this year. I'm not going to want my Michael Thomas going to Cleveland to be their number 1 because that's scary.
Did you just call him my Michael Thomas?
You know what? I didn't want to call him the good Michael Thomas and get that whole thing started again. Southern Miss Michael Thomas.
Thought you could slide that by me, didn't you?
I tried to not make it to where I had to slide it by you, trying to keep this low confrontation. But no, somebody's got to get all up in their feelings, get butthurt already. No. All right. I don't hate the idea of Doxson going to Cleveland. I really don't. And that's, from a Doxson fan, talking about somebody going to Cleveland makes me a little bit sad. But he's going to be the clear number one option. He's going to get targets for days. And as a rookie, that's probably good considering that he's already going to be just old. So get his fantasy production getting started early. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't say that I really care all that much. I mean, I just don't care if they're older and they go to a great situation, groovy. You know, if they go to a situation where it's a little bit clogged, if they're good enough, they're going to rise to the top, whether they're young, old, whatever. If they're Andre Johnson and go to a, super juicy situation last year and turns out they're washed, they're just washed. And it didn't matter where he went. So I just can't say it matters a whole lot to me. Let's go back to Mike Thomas.
Do we have to?
Is it the University of Southern Mississippi or is it Southern Mississippi University? How is it?
University of Southern Mississippi, USM.
That is USM. I am sick and fucking tired of seeing SMU Mike Thomas.
Tim.
Just tired of it. So tired of it.
Oh, I am too.
And I know it's an honest mistake. It sounds right. It's Southern Miss University. They want to say SMU. It's not SMU. SMU is this ragtag scrub bunch of idiots on the other side of Dallas from me. USM is down in Podunk, BFE, where Drew lives. There's a difference. There's a difference. Stop calling it SMU. Stop. Stop it. Public service announcement.
Completely agree. It's. I don't even have a good comp for it. It's almost insulting to me though. Like, if you're gonna talk about my school, call it the right name. It would be like calling LSU University University of Louisiana.
Call it USL, University of Southern Louisiana. No, don't do that.
No, that's this. I was not planning on this today.
I'm sorry. It's been in my craw. I got it in my craw. It wasn't on the script. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Went out of bounds, but I had to get it off my chest to the 7 people that are listening.
I guess the reason I'm upset that you brought it up is because it upsets me.
Well, let's get the juices flowing.
Oh, well, I guess we will. And let's calm it down and talk about something that we actually enjoy. This comes from Mocker's boyfriend. Do king-size candy bars taste different than normal size, specifically Snickers? I can't comment specifically on Snickers because I can't, in my mind right now, think about when the last time I had a regular size Snickers was. If I'm getting a candy bar, I'm probably just going to get the king size because it's better. The only one I can think of specifically that definitely tastes different is Skittles. If you get the king-size Skittles, they are way more likely to taste like blood by the end of them. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. It happened to me the other day, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot that happened. And Ryan is judging us right now. Like, see, this is why you should eat kale. Kale doesn't make your mouth bleed.
It's so true. All right. There are instances where the king size will change the flavor. A Snickers, a little bit. It doesn't throw off the ratios too bad, though. It's all about the ratio. My favorite candy bar is a Mr. Good bar. I love a Hershey's Mr. Good bar. You get it in king size, it screws it all up, man. If I'm in the mood for a king size Mr. Good bar, I'm just going to get 2 regular Mr. Good bars. That way the peanut to chocolate ratio is more evenly distributed.
I'm actually going to go ahead and make a more all-encompassing statement that all Hershey's candy bars, like actual Hershey's chocolate, are better in the regular size than the king size because they're not as thick. Therefore, the chocolate dissolves in your mouth better. It melts in your mouth better, whereas you're not just putting a brick in your mouth and having to chew it and ruining all of the flavor potential absorption in your mouth.
See, I agree. That's perfect. You know, some candy bars that are just as good or better in the king size. Butterfinger, excellent in the king size. Reese's Fast Break, which I love a Reese's Fast Break. It's awesome in king size.
Can we talk about how that completely got left out of the candy mock?
I can't even talk about the candy mock. That was just a fucking travesty. There are going to be some shitty second-year orphans mock draft. Somebody's going to drop it and be like, "Oh, sorry, you got some shit that I took because we didn't take any." I don't even think Gummy Savers got drafted. What planet is this?
There was a lot of weird stuff happened there. Starburst didn't go till the third round.
And then our buddy Roto Hack, George Criticos, takes, what did he take? Lintz chocolate in the first round. It's like 90% dark chocolate.
No,
vomit.
he was going for the Lindor chocolates. He was going to draft what I drafted.
Okay, good. Then he has been redeemed in my eyes.
I meant to replace that pick.
A scathing tweet about that, but I was like, "What are you doing, George? What are you doing?"
The one I noticed most, I think it was Adon Davenport, who we've dealt with for forever, said that if Chico Sticks did not go by the end of it, then you could throw the draft away. I would rather just throw Chico Sticks away.
Get out of here.
It's not even like a candy bar. It's garbage.
It's peanut butter and coconut and crunchy and delicious.
That's my problem. I hate coconut. So that might be the same reason I didn't draft Almond Joy or Mounds.
Coconut is quite divisive.
It's a texture thing. It's a flavor thing. It's the same reason I don't like onions.
Fair enough.
Like the only way I can eat onions is if they're like super grilled and put into my burger.
See, I like onions.
Doesn't really do it for me, especially when they're slimy. Like, no, thank you.
Slimy onion, no slimy onions for Drew.
I can't. The only time I can do that is if there's already something fried around it. Like I can do a bloomin' onion. Or there's this place back home that has these onion rings that are big enough that I could wear them around my wrist. I'm okay with pulling a slimy onion out of the middle of those because the breading and everything else around them is so good that I'm like, yeah, this is worth it. Don't care.
To just fry it and I'll eat it.
Dude, they're amazing. And it's not even just like we fried some onions. I don't know what they did, but it's amazing. And they deserve to be recognized for it.
I like it. All right. I think we hit that one pretty good. Boy, we do get fired up with the food takes. All right. Next question from @DynastyGunt, co-host of the Happy Hour Dynasty Pod. Really cool pod. I think we talked about it last week. This is a really cool podcast, guys. Y'all need to check it out. It's @DynastyHH Pod. Are you guys as excited to see Miles Jack drop to Atlanta as I am as an Atlanta fan? Well, I don't know. What's Atlanta picking? What are they, like 17th overall, something like that? If Miles Jack falls to 17th overall, color me concerned.
No, because I've seen talk of him falling all the way out of the first round with the talks of these injuries. If he's still in the first round, that's still good enough for me. On the other hand, if he goes to Atlanta, I almost hope that there's some truth to these injury concerns because I don't want to have to play against Miles Jack twice a year for the next God knows how many years. I can't do it. Y'all already have, Julio. We already got to deal with him. We're going to already have to deal with Vic Beasley. I'm not adding Jack to there. I want to be able to still watch my team beat Atlanta twice a year, at least minimum once a year, because y'all can't beat us in the Dome. But I really like going to Atlanta and seeing them get beat there. But no, please, God, do not draft Miles Jack. Please take Reggie Ragland in the first round instead.
They're not taking Ragland. They already have Jeremy Ragland in the middle.
Jeremy Ragland?
Jeremy Ragland. What am I even doing?
Jeremy Ragland, he's
they already
Langford and Reggie Ragland.
They already have Reggie Ragland in the middle wearing number 55.
They sure do.
So anyway, yeah. If he falls to Atlanta, I'm gonna be a little bit concerned. But we were talking about this before when it comes to Miles Jack. Boy, this is on the tip of everybody's tongue right now. Talk to me in 24 hours. I just don't know. There's so much going on. So much going on with him.
I will have a definitive answer for you in 24 hours, regardless of whether he's drafted or not.
He's so fucking good.
If he's drafted tomorrow, I don't care if it's at 31 overall. Because honestly, the stronger teams means he gets to wait a little bit. We don't have to rush his production, which is nice. It means he gets time to actually recover. Or he goes to one of these teams early and the injury is not a thing, which fantastic as well. So this next question is coming from at the Tragic 2. Is that what you told me it was?
Jesus Christ, how hard is it? It's
so
the Tragic
hard.
2. It is not difficult.
There's a J and there's a K.
I'm going to start spelling it out for you as it would be pronounced phonetically.
Please
that way
do.
You get this right.
There's a J and a K. Phonetically, this is a travesty. What he wants to know is, which second-year IDPs do you see making a big leap this year? Sleepers, question mark. My first one, super easy pick for me, Dante Fowler. Super man crush last year. I said it last year on our draft podcast. If I could pick one player to go to one team, any point in the draft, I wanted Dante Fowler to go to Jacksonville so he could play in a 4-3. And he did, and it was everything I wanted it to be. And I was happy for 7 whole picks until the Rams drafted Todd Gurley and killed every Trey Mason share I owned. But I'm still stoked about Dante Fowler. The injury, it's an ACL injury. He's had more than a year to recover. Don't care. No big deal. He's going to come back just fine. I know Breeze is concerned that he's going to get moved to a linebacker with, their shiesty scheme they got going on. I don't care. I don't think so. I've got hope and I've got faith, and that's all I need.
Let's just stick your fingers in your ears and la, 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 la. You just got to worry that they're going to move him into that Dan Skuta position, that under Sam, which he would really be good at. Yeah. That's what he does really, really well. But
he does a lot of things really well.
He's just a fucking wrecking ball, dude. Just a wrecking ball. I like this question.
Of course you do.
This is a good one for me. Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter's a top 12 Dynasty defensive lineman for me right now. You're probably not going to find anybody out there any higher than him than me. And I'm projecting a lot here. And Drew's going to be just as high. Yeah,
I'm a little bit behind you, but it's close.
The dude is a freak. Super young. And when he got some burn last year, man, he was good. He had about a 3-week run where he was killing it. And Brian Robinson is old. And on the other side, you got Everson Griffin, who is fantastic. And in the middle, you got Linville Joseph, and you got Sharif Floyd, who are fantastic. And you got Anthony Barr, who's one of the better combo linebackers in the league. It's going to be very difficult for an offensive line to say, hey, we're going to take one guy out of the game. They can't do it against Minnesota. So Hunter's going to get loose.
It's the same thing they have to deal with the Rams. The Rams have so many good guys on that line. It's just like, well, we're just going to get hit by everybody. But I view Hunter right now very much like I did Ziggy. It's very raw. The athleticism is unimaginable. And if he can put it together, that guy is elite defensive end material.
You ever seen the dude? They show pictures of him in the workout room. It looks like they chiseled him out of granite. And he's 270 pounds. I mean, unbelievable frame.
You wouldn't imagine it based on how he moves.
Yeah, he's unreal. This list is long. This is my time to throw in my obligatory Paul Dawson. Just come on, man. I was sky high on Paul Dawson last year. It didn't work, man. You got to have him rostered right now. He's probably free. Shaq Thompson, we're still going to have to wait a little bit on Shaq Thompson.
How much longer does Davis have?
He's Iron Man, dude. I don't know. But Shaq's just too good to keep off the field. He's got to be pulling at least 60, 70% next year. Right? Yeah, is Roman Harper dead yet? Did Roman Harper die officially?
I mean, he looks like he's been dead since last year he was with the Saints.
You seen the guy? I mean,
dude, he looks like he should be out there fathering grandchildren, not playing football.
Yeah. Oh, man, there's so many guys. Henry Anderson, the 5-tech for the Colts, who was really good last year before he got hurt. Clayton Gathers and Jaquiski Tart both are ready to break out. A little bit deeper, Let's go Hayes Pillard in Jacksonville, assuming they don't do anything there. Hayes Pillard came on a little bit last year and played pretty well. Martrell Spate, the kid in Washington, who I really liked last year. And I think he was hurt before the season even started. Losing Keenan Robinson, they're relying, as of right now, on Will Compton and Mason Foster, two guys that have just kind of been kicked around. So he could break in. James Sample, depending on what happens with what they want to do with what's his face? Cyprian. Yeah.
Frank Clark. Yeah, Mario Edwards.
Frank Clark's dead. They're moving him to the linebacker position. He's dead.
Really, I thought he was.
Yeah, unrosterable at this point. If that happens,
I thought he was kind of getting guaranteed on the line, but no, F that.
Jake Ryan, assuming Green Bay doesn't add some inside linebacker help, is worth the pull. There's a lot of guys, man. This IDP class last year was pretty good, and there are a lot of guys that didn't get the burn. You look at the outside, like Preston Smith, rushbacker, nice little buy if you're in a big play league. Who's the kid in Arizona? Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden's a hell of a rushbacker. I mean, there's some really, really nice plays. Ibrahim Campbell in Cleveland in the defensive backfield. I love IDPs, man. I love getting deep on these. Yeah, Kikaha. If Kikaha gets defensive end designation, it could happen.
Oh yeah, dude. You know how much I would love that, dude.
Especially if he gets defensive end designation and plays a similar position to what he did last year, where he does a little bit of everything, but he's designated as a defensive end. It's a code breaker. You know, that's good stuff. So, yeah, so many guys. I could go on, but I'm not going to because we'll be here all night. All right, next question from @CalebIDP. Have you ever opened a can of Pringles and not eaten the whole thing? No, I haven't. Not one single time ever. Period. Give me a can of sour cream and onion Pringles. I'm taking the whole tube to the dome, dude. That is good shit.
I think almost every time I've gone in with the intention of like, yeah, I'm going to have like a good handful of them. They're like, oh, now I have an empty can of Pringles.
No, because what you do, you pull out a stack of like 7, you know? It's thick. And you just you don't eat it one at a time.
Yes.
You just eat 14 Pringles in one shot.
It's that, or you split it into like the 4 or 5, just enough to where you can kind of chew it. And then you just like, oh, that was good. I'm gonna do that again. Like, oh, I'm out of Pringles. But for me,
man,
it's barbecue and cheddar, dude.
See, I like the sour cream and onion and the ranch.
The ranch are fantastic. I love the ranch. And you know what? I'm always down for a good can of original.
Original's a little boring for me. Sometimes you had the jalapeno Pringles. They are fantastic as well.
See, jalapeno flavored stuff, I don't get in on at all. It just doesn't do it for me.
Jalapeno kettle cooked potato chips. Please tell me.
I can't. It's not. It's just it's a weird flavor. It doesn't taste right.
When we were growing up, my old man would make jalapeno popcorn.
Yeah, and see, that's probably good because it probably tasted like jalapenos. Not like, hey, let's try and think up whatever concoction of whatever we can do to make jalapeno flavor. Like, no, let's just use some jalapenos.
I'm going to guarantee you that you not liking jalapeno kettle-cooked potato chips is going to be a problem for several people. They're that good. That's consensus. Top 5 potato chip pick. No. And your chair just broke again. Did your chair just break?
Yeah, kinda.
I got your back, bro.
There is no way that is a top 5 potato chip. You are so wrong.
We're gonna crowdsource this one.
All right, and I don't know if y'all have Zapp's potato chips in Texas.
Hell yeah, we do.
Good.
The crawtators, boy.
Dude, the voodoo ones. Dude, somebody sent me out the voodoo ones when I was on my last deployment. I almost broke down in tears. I was so excited. Because you get like regular ass Lay's over there. And like, yeah, cool, Lay's, whatever. I'm like, I could really go for some good potato chips. I opened the box. I'm like, yes! Oh, such a good day. But I guess we'll move on to our next question. Comes from @BillLatin. Love to hear your take on best prospects fit for Arizona in round 1. Defensive end, linebacker, cornerback. I don't know. The only one I can I really can't think of anybody because anybody that's going to fall that far doesn't bring anything, specific to the table that I can think, oh, the Cardinals need that. Like if y'all are drafting at on the beginning of the first, I'd be all about, Buckner to Arizona. But linebacker specifically, Spence isn't going to fall there. Spence could be a nice addition. But
I think Arizona's kind of in an envious position that is a damn good football team.
Absolutely.
It's good. I got to think, just kind of looking at it on the surface, I haven't looked at this at all, but corner would seem to be a nice fit for them. And there were some nice corners in that range. William Jackson, the kid from Houston, who a lot of people really like. Burns, Eli Apple, he could fall. If not, Reggie Ragland could fall, that far. I don't know what's going on there. I still can't believe that Kevin Minter's a long-term answer there. I just can't. Spence could fall there. Dodd could fall there.
There's a lot of really good one-techs in this draft, too, that I think would be a good fit.
Yeah, I think they could. Arizona's good enough that they can just BPA this thing, dude.
Absolutely.
Just take the best player available, and I don't even really think that it matters all that much who it is.
Take a wide receiver if they hit, allows them to not have to re-sign Mike Floyd next year.
Yeah, Fitz is going to die pretty soon. Mike Floyd's going to get paid after he goes off this year.
And then Brown, Brown's a fine too. If they can get somebody good at the end of the first, go get them a Josh Doxson or what have you. That could work out fairly well for them. Or they could just take offensive line. There's some good offensive line talent in this draft.
They could just take whatever. That's a really good football team. That's going to be a strong Super Bowl contender next year. That is a good team. Say
Paxton Lynch falls to him at the end of the first. I almost got to think they'd take him there. Bruce Arians has done some work with some mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's not. Start grooming. Palmer's not going to be around forever.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah. That's just a good team, but I got to think that corner and edge. Well, they got Chandler Jones, they got Golden, and then they got the old man who's banging around out there playing.
I keep forgetting they have Jones now.
Yeah, but a good edge rusher. You're never going to pass a good edge rusher.
Mm-mm.
If that's the highest player on their board. So I don't know. Seems like a lot of my timeline's Arizona fans. There are a lot of guys in Arizona. Seems like Arizona and Minnesota dominate.
No, that's just Pat talks a lot. And it seems like there's more Arizona talk than there is, but that's just because Reagan has a big old cardinal on his AVI.
There you go. All right. What we got here? We got 3 questions from our buddy at Fomorians, Brian Mullins from the Couch Coach crew. All right. First one, who are we taking at the end of the first, and where is our wide receiver cutoff? Do any running backs squeeze in there? At the end of the first, it's going to be littered with running backs for me. I was making a list, and I've got Zeke Elliott, 7 wide receivers, and then my next running back. So I got to think the end of the first is going to be peppered with running backs. Procise, Howard, Perkins, Dixon. If Dixon falls that far, then you got USM Mike Thomas, Malcolm Mitchell, Pharaoh Cooper, Sterling Shepard. Those are the kind of guys we're looking at there, at least that I'm looking at in the end of the first. I want out of the 109 to 202 range. It's all so fungible for me there.
It depends on what my team looks like. If I'm competing and I've got some empty running back slots, I want to be right there. I want to have my pick of the running backs. But for me, I'm fairly similar. I've got 6 wide receivers between Zeke and Henry because I've got Coleman somewhere around the late third. But not Kenyon. Henry is going to go before some of these wide receivers, which means maybe I'll get lucky and some of these wide receivers I fall to the end of the first. I would kill to get Woelfel or Tyler Boyd at the end of the first. Sterling Shepard, I don't have him before Henry, but at the end of the first, I'm all about it. The same, Dixon, Procise, Howard, Mike Thomas. After that, that's a whole first round worth of players. There's nobody else creeping up in there that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think that about wraps that one up. Next question. In a cornerback required league that also returns kick return and punt return yards, which they all should, especially in IDP. Come on, get with the times. What cornerbacks besides Cyrus? Was it Cyrus Jones, kid from Alabama?
Yeah.
Are noteworthy? No.
I tried to watch some return kicks and I got bored and turned it off.
Well, evidently he's a good returner. There are very, very, very few situations in which I'm going to be drafting a corner in a rookie draft. I mean, I'll barely draft him in a startup draft, even in cornerback required. I stream corners, even in start two required. I stream unless I just latch on to a good one by dumb luck.
And I can't think of any corner that I'm locked down holding on to because he returns. You know, if Honey Badger had ended up getting cornerback eligibility, I think he'd be the only one off the top of my head that I would make a special exception for. Other than that, I mean,
seems like the really good ones. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, because I'm pretty sure you were about to say the same thing I was, that the good defensive backs that are returning end up playing safety. Cam Chancellor's done return work. Honey Badger's done return work. Well, no, Peterson. Peterson could be one of those guys I make an exception for. But yeah, he also kind of sucks for IDP.
They'll pull them off. If they're that good, a lot of times they'll get pulled off the return team because they don't want them to break in half. Especially if it's a good corner. They're paying them $1 trillion a year. They don't want them to die on special teams. See,
and we've had this conversation before, but I almost think the optimal coaching choice is to have them out there returning kicks. I get that it's another chance for them to get injured, and it's a more likelihood that they get injured. But if it's giving you the best chance to win and you have legit depth, I'd take the risk. Because if the difference is you're either going to get a touchback or he can legit take it 50, 60, 70 yards down the field, it seems worth the risk to me on the off chance they get injured.
Yeah, that's fair. At least bring it out to the 30, the 35. That's significant. I mean, 10 yards are hard to fucking come by in the NFL.
That's a first down and a half.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do anything on offense.
I'm going to give this question a big old I don't know, because I just don't pay much attention to corners, man. I just don't. I let the IDP guru do that for me in season. He tells me, what the stats are. I plug in a corner. So that's kind of the way I do it. All right, last question. Thoughts on Miles Jack's medical? How far does he drop? I don't know. I've heard everything from he might have a microfracture to he's got some fucked up disease of, arthritic joints and then I see some guys say he's still going to go top 5 and I see he's going to fall to, the late first or out of the first. I don't know, man. I don't know.
One thing to keep into consideration with the draft coming up this weekend is him getting drafted does not mean that there's no issue. Because Marcus Lattimore went in, the 4th round? When there's the talent there, the team is going to take a chance regardless of whether he's ever going to play or not. Because would you rather have a player that's got 10% odds to start, but if he starts, he's a top 10 linebacker in the league? Or are you going to take a guy with a 20% chance to start that if he starts is going to be borderline above replacement? I can see it from the NFL standpoint. Like, you're going to take him in the 4th round at that point just because why wouldn't you?
It's no different than us as fantasy players when guys were taking Josh Gordon way the hell too high or trading for him. You know what the risk is, but you know what the upside is too. Why was Justin Blackmon still on rosters up to, a month or two ago? Because you know what could happen if he comes back. So it's not all that different, I suppose, in that sense. But I don't know, man. Is it scary? Yeah. Am I worried? Like we talked, it's similar to Jay Ajayi last year. It's almost eerily similar to what was going on with Ajayi last year. But Ajayi's a running back, and we're concerned about his long-term outlook, blah, 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 blah. If they tell me Miles Jack only has 4 or 5 years, cool. I don't care. I can find linebackers in a few years. It's tough to find, running backs and wide receivers. You want that long-term projection, but we can fill linebacker in a few years. So, if an NFL team's comfortable enough taking him even relatively high, I'm still going for it, and I'm not too concerned about the long-term outlook because depending on who takes him, he's going to come right in and make a huge impact, huge in real life and in fantasy.
If he goes before day 3, I'm still taking him with top, 25, 30 pick pretty easily. I'd say probably closer to the top 25 range. And even if he goes, as long as he goes higher than the 6th or 7th round, I'm still spending a 3rd round pick on him without any hesitation.
Absolutely, especially when we start getting into dart throw territory. Even talking like mid-second. If you're talking about, running back, just random running back X who has some high upside, or Miles Jack.
Well, that mid-second's got a lot of decent guys that can pop up. You can have Cooper, you can have Booker, who we're not high on Booker because he's old. You got Kenyon Drake. You got a lot of wide receivers we like. And it's, obviously it's going to change around with draft position and all that jazz, but it's still, if he's fallen to the point where there's concern, I can't see spending a mid-second on him.
Everything is okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Miles Jack is fine. Jalen Smith is fine. Everything's fine. We're good. I'm not worried at all. Not even a little bit.
Y'all can't see it, but Tyler is breathing into a brown paper bag right now.
I can't even tell you how many freaking 2nd-round picks I acquired this year. I was dying to get into the 2nd round of this rookie draft. Dying. I wanted them all. And it was those 2 guys, Jack and Jalen, were the 2 guys that I wanted. And this was in the works a long time ago for me. Drew can attest to this. I started pulling 16 seconds like 18 months ago, man.
With Jack, Smith, and Bosa on your mind.
Yeah, Jackson, and then there's other guys have popped in there too now. This is a pretty good class. It's not the deepest, but it's pretty good. And the safeties are bonkers. If you're playing in leagues where you can start 3 or 4 safeties, there's some damn good safeties, some game changers.
Y'all talked about safeties on the show last week, and I didn't interject when I should have. But you and Breeze were talking about, who would you prefer your number 1 safety in this class or Landon Collins? And you barely took Landon Collins because of the situation. But for me, it's like I like these guys just fine, but they are not at that Landon Collins level of talent where, if they land in a situation, that's nice, but I'm not immediately putting them in my top 6 for safety rankings.
Well, we were able to do that with Collins because of the situation. Situation is going to drive a ton of it, and it's a mixture, dude. It's all fluid. Let's put Carl Joseph in the 1st round of the NFL draft in a starting strong safety job. Boom, top 10, top 12 DB.
Dean, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying you can't. They're not comparable because they're not good enough. If you had taken them and put them in the Giants spot last year, they're not a top 5 or 6 guy.
I don't know that I completely disagree, but I definitely don't completely agree.
They're definitely, for me, they're a tier below, and I don't dislike them at all. But Landon Collins, I almost feel like he's not getting enough credit for how good of a prospect he was last year.
He had his flaws.
Sure,
he had his flaws. I thought he went a little bit too late in the draft. What, 1st pick of day 2? I thought he should have been a 1st rounder.
I did too, but that whole draft was just off the rails.
Hey, but we got Shane Ray. We traded up to take Shane Ray. That happened. God freaking mighty.
This is fun for me.
When we traded up, I was like, hey, cool. Landon Collins, pair him up with TJ Ward and Brad Roby. And no. Nah, let's take a one. Move on. You see my cheeks? Blood pressure rising. I've had a little to drink. I'm getting irritated.
Good. Our next question comes from @NPowellFF, Nate Powell, who I don't know if I'm allowed to call him Nate, but I'm going to anyways. He actually sent us this question like a week and a half ago, and somehow we just skipped over it. And I feel like this is really something we need to talk about on the show. What's your take on candy/Oreos in the freezer? And, Powell straight up says his take is all candy is better when kept in the freezer, and it makes Oreos 10 times better. And I'm going to let you go first before I drop a bomb.
I don't think you can just throw a blanket over this one. I don't think all candy is inherently better. For instance, is Oreos in the freezer? Oreos in the freezer. I might put like the white fudge covered Oreos in the freezer, but a general Oreo, nah. Now a Thin Mint, the Girl Scout Thin Mints, definitely freeze them. Definitely. As far as candy bars, you want to freeze a Snickers. It's gonna wreck your shit. It's gonna break teeth. Whatever. Don't care. It's good. So I'm split. It all depends on what it is as to whether I want to freeze it or not. But freezing a regular Oreo, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. And for me, if it is not ice cream or a Thin Mint and it is sweet, then it should not be frozen. It is not better. And I'm saying this with the little asterisk of I got busted ass janky teeth. And if you give me frozen candy, I'm going to the dentist to get more teeth replaced. Because all it's going to do is crack my teeth. And it makes me sad. But I don't think I enjoyed it that much beforehand. It just makes it harder to eat. And I'd rather just put it in my face and chew instead of like, oh, I'm going to take 5 minutes, I'm going to wear it down, and then I get to eat it. Now, and that might be controversial, and frozen, it might taste better frozen. I don't know. And I've never frozen an Oreo, so I don't even know shit about that. Freezing an Oreo might actually soften it up, and it might work better. I don't know. And I might try it, and I might not. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we covered that one pretty well. All right. Got 2 questions from my buddy at Fantasy Outlaw, who's been off the grid lately on the Twitter. I miss him. He's one of the better IDP guys out there. What we got? I got a couple questions for the show. First question, like to hear our take on Dante Fowler. Yeah. Drew's still in Dante Fowler heaven. I am a little bit leery because Breeze has gotten into my head as far as the Dante Fowler thing. And it's all about the position designation and what he's going to do in Jacksonville, where he's going to play on the line, and how that's going to ultimately decide his production. We have a dog. We have a guest. Drew's dog's licking his face.
Yeah, he wants to scratch at the door and be an asshole, so he gets to hang out with me now.
All right. Have we heard any injury recovery news on Dante? I haven't heard anything, so I'm taking no news as good news here.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Second, thoughts on a few young IDPs, Paul Dawson, Seal Moore, and Kyle Van Noy. Paul Dawson, leave the light on, man. Keep holding out. He's a good football player. I promise this guy's a good football player. It's going to happen. Seal Moore, I don't fucking know. I don't know what to make of CO. Obviously, Jarrell Freeman leaving's got to be a positive. It's not a negative. It's positive. DQ is old and still really good. But CO's bound to get his chance. I think he's talented enough that if he can knock off the knucklehead routine, he's going to be okay. As far as Kyle Van Noy, I don't think he's ever going to be usable in fantasy.
You shut that mouth.
Sorry. Kyle Van Noy at BYU was a wrecking ball. He was more often than not the best player on the field when he was in college. He was that good of a rush backer, but he just doesn't have a role in the NFL. He just doesn't. He's not a good 4-3 Sam. I don't think he's going to be a good 3-4 edge. He's droppable, unrosterable at this point.
You're pretty much right, and I'm holding on particularly tight to my my BYU eval just because I liked him so much coming out. I was so just all about him.
I wrote an article about Kyle Van Noy about a year ago, probably in April of last year. I was like, go get Kyle Van Noy. You know, he's a top 40-ish linebacker. And now I think it's time to close the book. I really do.
And as for CO, we love CO here on the Dynasty Playbook, like way too much, way more than is healthy. If he had not been an asshole or whatever he was, he would have been a top 15 linebacker in Oakland last year, almost without a doubt. I could say that. But if he's going to be a shithead, then he has no idea what's going to happen with him. Outlaw talks about guys at DB. He's got Gathers. I don't even know if that's how you say that.
Yeah.
Ibrahim Campbell. I don't even.
The second-year guy in Cleveland.
Oh, that's right. I don't care about Cleveland, which I should. I really should, considering that they're getting all snaps. TJ McDonald. I love TJ McDonald. For me, Tyler and I were talking about it before. He's some of the guys we kind of associate with. Had TJ McDonald all the way higher than Morgan Burnett, which to us was just not okay. But I can almost see the argument for TJ McDonald just because I like him that much. I think TJ McDonald is absolutely a DB1.
Oh, he's a top 5, 6 guy for me. But putting him ahead of Morgan Burnett, get off the crack.
I think it's people. We're not having another rant session about Morgan Burnett. Apparently, no one's listening, so let's not waste our time.
Whatever. Yeah, TJ, well, this is one of these things is not like the other kind of deals for me because TJ's in a whole nother class for me than these guys. I do think Gathers could jump into that. He's more than likely going to be starting day one for Indy. Is a real nice player. Campbell, I like Campbell. I think he came out of Northwestern. I liked him quite a bit coming out last year. He was one of my DB sleepers, but it just didn't really happen. He just didn't get the burn, but I think he's going to get a chance, especially with Gibson leaving, even though they don't play the exact same position. Gibson's much more of a center fielder. I think there's some opportunity there for Campbell, so I like him there, and I like Gathers a lot. I've done 2 or 3 startups this year, and Gathers is on each one of those teams right now because I was able to get him really cheap, and the opportunity is really nice there.
Yeah, Gathers is definitely a better odds to turn into something, especially, I mean, Mike Adams is 130. I mean, it's the opportunities are everywhere in Indy right now. It's another reason why I like CO. If he's not producing, it's because he sucks, not because the situation didn't provide for it. As for Campbell, I can say with complete honesty, I know nothing about him. I just pulled it up. He was a 4th round pick, and somehow he was not one of those guys on my radar.
Go look at my rosters. I'm going to find some Ibrahim Campbell on my rosters right now.
Yeah, I will be the first to admit when I drop the ball.
I'm usually a year too early on these guys. I was a year too early on Trey Boston. I could write a book on all the guys I'm a year too early on, but
I mean that whole year too early mentality is the whole reason we started playing Dynasty. I remember playing redraft thinking, man, this rookie's gonna be hot shit, and it's like, oh, wasted that draft pick.
Yeah.
And the next year he just blows up. I mean, I feel like that's got to be at least 75% of the people that play Dynasty that are because of Madden. And
yeah, I get way too amped up on the defensive side trying to find that breakout before it's a breakout. And the hit rate's not real high, but it's so cheap, man. You get them for nothing. You go pluck them off the wire. You don't even spend blind bidding dollars on them. You get them first come, first serve. And that's one of the more gratifying things that can happen in Dynasty for me is getting Telvin Smith in the 40th round.
Not Kelvin Benjamin. I don't know why it's just said Kelvin Benjamin. I'm editing this out because I have no idea what I was just about to say.
Yeah. Well, whoever you're going to say, don't say his name because
Keenan
there's
Robinson.
potential heartbreak in there. Keenan.
We were getting Keenan Robinson just as late as we were getting Kelvin in 2014. And the nice thing about that was when Keenan hits, that means you can ship off one of your actual LB1s, and there's almost no production gap for you. It's fantastic.
Having depth at linebacker is fantastic for off-season trades. It is fantastic for off-season trades because, I mean, you can throw them around like candy. The dude's like, I like Navarro Bowman. And you're like, I got 7 Navarro Bowmans. Well, you don't have 7 Navarro Bowmans, but you got 6 other guys that can perform at 80% of Navarro Bowman, so here you go. But, yeah, that's great. He's got a few defensive linemen, Danny Shelton, Stephon Tuitt, and then DeMarcus Lawrence / Randy Gregory. Shelton, don't care. Shelton's a big, fatty. I didn't really care for him. I think he's a great player, but if they're trying to do anything with him besides making him, like a one gap, one technique, he's being miscast. So great player, bad IDP play. Tuitt, I like Tuitt. Tuitt played pretty well last year. He's in a really nice scheme for him. The type of player that he is, he's going to have some production. And I tend to lean a little bit more towards the further I get into this, the 3-4 defensive lineman, because of the safety year to year. You don't have to worry about positional movement. And then Lawrence and Gregory. Lawrence is fantastic. I guess he's going to be suspended for a few games, 4 games, 6 games, whatever.
I thought Gregory was the one with suspension.
No, Lawrence got popped here a few weeks ago.
Oh, so they're both suspended.
Well, Lawrence just had back surgery and all kinds of crap. D-Law's great player. D-Law won leagues. He won leagues. I'd say won leagues. He was on a lot of league winners last year because he came on hot about week 12 and cruised all the way through the playoffs. Gregory's still super raw, super knucklehead. Great edge rusher. Just a great edge rusher. I like Randy Gregory a ton. I liked him better than Beasley. And Drew and I both liked him better than Beasley, and we were both on a lonely island. But I still do like him better than Beasley. So they're both pretty good buys for me. Gregory, you got to be a little leery with. Both of them you have to be a little leery with, but you're not paying anything for them, so go get them. Lawrence, a top 12 defensive end for me.
Ooh, that's hot.
I do what I do.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't know if I would have been ready to make that jump yet.
I need to see exactly where I have DeMarcus Lawrence. Let me pull this up on the awesome ffcouchcoach.com consensus dynasty rankings. You guys gotta check these out, dude.
Hashtag not an obvious plug.
I have DeMarcus Lawrence at exactly 12. He is 10 amongst the consensus, and I think that's I think it's about right, man. It's a good football player.
That feels a little rich for my blood, but I'm probably still high on too many guys. What's the consensus on Cam?
Cam Jordan, I am the highest on Cam Jordan at number 9. His consensus is number 12.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I'm still taking.
I got it. Then, man, you can get like 7-8 guys, and then it just goes.
What's the consensus on Fowler? Well, I can see I've still got Fowler as a 1.
Is 15.
I've still got Fowler as 1, so that makes it easier.
It's going to be easier to talk about Dante Fowler in a couple months once we get the depth chart.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like we're going to be a lot safer in our evals after this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they take Joey Bosa,
especially in the defensive line, but boy, it's just like dart throw.
If they take Bosa, it's going to be just as bad as watching my Todd Gurley reaction last year.
They don't take Bosa.
I would think not, but
I got to think if Tunsil falls to 5, they're all over it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's O-line is the biggest hole on that team right now.
If he falls to 5, they're on it. I don't know. I don't know what Dallas is the wild card. All this Zeke Elliott at number 4 to Dallas talk, that just sounds so bogus to me. I think they're going to lock in Ramsey or Buckner.
Yeah. But yeah, I almost have to think Chargers take Tunsil at 3, or they put that pick on the board and say, come pay us all the money for Tunsil or whoever you wanted at 3. Chargers are in a great position to trade out.
They really are, because they're going to be getting the best player in the draft is still going to be on the board at number 3. Whoever you think is the best player in the draft, he's still going to be on the board at number 3.
Because it's not one of those quarterbacks.
It's going QB.
Yeah, because it's not. If you're going best player in the draft, it's either Ramsey, Tunsil. If the linebackers are healthy, they're both in that conversation too. Even Buckner and Bosa are in that conversation. But it is not a quarterback. It is not a wide receiver.
Yeah. It isn't Zeke Elliott, who is amazing.
But he's a running back.
But in today's NFL, it's not Zeke Elliott.
Like even Gurley at 10 last year was a reach in a better draft class, and he's a better running back. And he had an ACL injury. Or I don't even remember. Was it just an ACL injury, or was just his entire shit broken? I can't even remember.
It was he had like 3 broken legs.
Yeah, it's like an ACL.
He was in a wheelchair.
He was broke as fuck, and they still like, yeah, number 10. Come on, come hang out with Jeff Fisher. We'll go 8-8 for the rest of your life. I don't remember what I was just listening to. Some podcast was in the last week, and they what was it? It was First and Five, which I can't even remember the name of the guy who runs it, but it was my first time listening to it. They talked about the biggest downside for Goff going at number 1 overall is that he's going to a position where they need a head coach. And I felt that was a perfect way to describe it.
Woo! Stability. Hey, Brian Quick, though.
You're not going to find a guy that still likes Brian Quick as much as I do.
He's the worst.
You go to hell. You go to hell and you die.
I had a few Brian Quick shares this time last year, and I had a few Charles X. Johnson shares this time last year, and them shits were gone.
There was a 5-week period where Brian Quick was the man, and I'm going to base my entire evaluation based on 5 weeks.
I love it.
But we're going to move on to our next question. It comes from @Tony J. Anderson. 16-team IDP. Do you approach the rookie draft differently? When does Miles Jack go? The draft starts Sunday. Well, first of all, I'm going to say congratulations on having an awesome league that lets you draft lets you draft immediately. Because the ones that don't are the worst. Having to draft on July 1st should be against the Geneva Convention. It is not okay. And the people that say, let's wait for some preseason games, you are wrong. That's right. Thank you. Fucking American History X 'em.
Let's take Amir Abdullah at 3, at 103 because he ripped off a big run in the preseason. Fuck you.
Oh, if your draft isn't starting in May, you're not a Dynasty League. You're just sad and unhappy. But in terms of the actual question that he asked, Miles Jack, the same eval is going to apply as any other team. If he goes top whatever pick, then if he goes in the first 100 picks, I'm still taking him with a top 30 pick. After that, But in terms of rookie draft, I'm taking the guy. I'm going to rely more on draft position with a 16-teamer just because by the time you're taking your next shot, it's already going to be a dart throw. So take one shot that's almost guaranteed to gain some value, even if you don't like the player, because the odds of a rookie not gaining any value is extremely low. Like the ones that do are historical anomalies. So that's who I'm taking with that first pick. Second round pick, go balls out, take the guys you like, because at that point they're dart throws anyways. Those are essentially third round picks. Do what you want.
Yeah, I don't know. 16-team league. I'm scared of 16-team leagues. I'm frightened.
So many people.
Boy, a bust, especially high in the first round, that's a killer, dude. I like to keep it pretty fast and loose. I don't really worry about busts too much, but yeah, I agree with Drew. Take the floor where at all possible. Yeah. Next question, our buddy John Glosser @Glosser13. Lie to us and say you're going to bring an IDP playbook back. This isn't a lie. We will do this. We will have an IDP playbook. We will have several of them, but we can't do it before the draft. It's just there's too many moving pieces. We tried. It's not going to happen. We'll get it in after the draft. We'll have Breeze on. We're going to have Big Eric O from DLF on. We're going to get some IDP stuff covered out, over the course of the summer. It's my favorite thing. It's what I think I know. So I like to talk about it ad nauseum. So it's going to happen.
And I just like to watch Tyler talk about it, so I'm going to hang out while he does it.
See? There
I
you
like
go.
to pretend that I know stuff.
You know stuff.
If you say so.
You know lots of stuff.
I didn't even know that Ibrahim kid, so.
Yeah. I just, we watched Draft Breakdown, and I'm like, I'm going to go watch Rashard Higgins. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to go watch Keanu Neal. I like to go watch the defenders. That's just kind of my thing. I'm twisted like that.
And I'm gonna have to be better about it this year now that I have actual rankings out there that people can look at. I'm gonna have to do more work and make sure I'm not overlooking people. Whereas last year, I definitely overlooked people, but I just trusted Tyler to tell me about them when I needed to hear about them.
Well, I mean, with IDP ranks, you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss a lot. It's just part of the game. But my whole deal with IDP is take big swings and don't worry about the misses because they don't hurt as much.
Yeah, when you're spending a 4th-round pick, who cares if you miss? But if you get a starter, take
a big ass swing.
That doesn't happen very often with like wide receivers and running backs. You're not getting a starter in the 4th round, hardly ever.
Yeah, take big swings and take a lot of them. If you're rostering 10 linebackers at some point in the season, that's not a big deal. Go for it rather than rostering a bunch of turds, Orleans Darkwas of the world. Go grab a linebacker instead.
Oh yeah, and we can. Why not? We can take. I'm trying to get a thought here. I don't know. Do I want a linebacker? Do I want Damian Williams, who was clearly going to be the number 2 behind Lamar Miller last year?
He had like 4 carries last year. Do I want Benny Fowler or do I want Ben Heaney? You want Ben Heaney, So that's I get pretty obsessive about it, but I'm always scouring the depth charts, and the college tape really matters. A guy that was good in college is just a good football player is a lot of times going to get his shot, and defenders get hurt a lot too, especially linebackers. Linebacker apocalypse every time you turn around. So take your shots, man. Are we done?
We're pretty much done. And you know how I can tell? My wife is knocking on my office door and calling me and seeing if I'm done. I locked it so the other dog doesn't open the door and let herself in here and start fucking shit up. But that's going to be it. We're going to go party tomorrow.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that are watching this on Thursday on draft day, tomorrow night, this Thursday night, we're doing a live draft hangout. It's going to be Tyler, me. I know at RavageFF, Pat is going to be joining us. Some of the different guys from the Couch Coach crew are going to be joining us. And we're just going to be hanging out, drinking, bullshitting, watching the draft. And with almost certainty, one of us is going to cry. And 90% of the chances it's going to be me.
I doubt it'll be me because I don't have a draft pick unless something happens to like pick 31. I can't remember quite why that happened. Oh yeah, we won the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I still remember you.
They traded up.
I'm not saying they can't do that this year, but they might just draft up. They might take Shane Wright again just to watch.
Shane Ray, ladies and gentlemen. And then Drew and I are both going to be on with UTH Friday night, too. The UTH draft hangout. They're doing what everybody's doing a draft hangout. So, whatever. But we're both going to be on Friday night to do a little IDP work with Chad and Tim and Katie and JoJo and Jordan and all those badass guys. I love the UTH crew. Really cool guys. So, it'll be a fun couple days, man. And then we are about 1 week away from how many leagues do I commish? Like 8?
Ooh, if you combine the two of us, it makes up more than half of our total leagues.
Okay, so every single league that I commish is kicking off drafts at the exact same time. May 7th at 7 p.m. They all fire up, all 8 of them. And there's a startup in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo!
The Civil War League.
This
yes!
is going to be great. And I'm on vacation. This is going to be, oh, man, next weekend is going to be fantastic.
You know what else I get to draft next week? I get to have a dispersal draft for a 30 roster spot Devy team. Like 30 roster spots just for Devies. Yeah! It's so scary.
I'll leave that. That's deep, man. At one point in time, I was a huge college football fan, and I still am, but I've been working Saturdays for ever. It's hard to be a college football fan working Saturdays, but I'm kind of envious of you, but you should be scared.
Oh, I'm terrified. I just did my first Devy league with you like a month and a half ago, and we got 2 Devy slots.
We fizzled the fuck out. Boy, did we botch that or what?
We did not botch that due to lack of knowledge on Devy players. We bought
No,
that
it wasn't
because
like-
we
Yeah.
outthought ourselves.
We are bad at budgeting. We should have nominated Juju Smith first go around, and we didn't.
We should have paid for more Devy money than we did, but we didn't. But I think this speaks fairly well to how I treat finances in real life. Like I think I got a handle on it, and then I look at my bank account and went, "Shit, I fucked it up again."
It's like, we don't have enough money for Dupree. We don't have enough money for Juju. Fuck. Who is Cortland Sutton? What is going on?
Oh,
the worst. No more auctions, man. I'm done.
We say that every single time.
No, it's not the auction that gets me. It's somebody comes in with a really unique league with cool settings and cool scoring, and I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. I'm just naturally gravitate, like a moth to the flame. When something's different, that's where I tend to go towards.
Tyler, what did I tell you that I was going to do for startups this year? I was going to do none.
Mm-hmm.
0. I've done 2 so far. I'm joining a dispersal. That's 3. That is 3 more than 0.
I've got 3, 4 this year. I did the DFF, the Dynasty Football Factory, FF Couch Coach League. We did the Sticky League. I got another awesome Leatherheads League with my buddy Stan Hyatt. Those are great leagues. And then we got the Civil War. So 4, I feel pretty good that I've only done 4. That's restraint. But that's
really
a long summer coming, though. You know what's going to happen come July.
You know what? I am not as concerned about it as I've been in the past because I require more specialized settings than I have in the past. I had an invite to go to an IDP league with actually some really sharp guys, but I look at the scoring and I'm like, this is lower than the IDP scoring I would use. And it's not even low IDP scoring. It's higher than the sub-league's IDP scoring. It just wasn't at East versus West level. It wasn't.
Like 1 defensive end, 2 linebackers.
No, I mean, the starting lineup even was just fine. It was the scoring was too low. The IDP didn't have as much effect on your overall lineup as it does in our leagues. There's no point per carry. Point per carry for me is borderline required. Some super flex or 2 QB is almost required. This Devy league, you can start up to 3 quarterbacks.
Nope, fuck that.
It's crazy, and I love it. That honestly, more so than the Devy, that's what drew me in. I'm like, 3 quarterbacks. Oh, and then just my pants tore. And it was all over from there. And I mean, this is a decent buy-in too. This is a $50 league, which that's not a high roller league. Don't get me wrong, but most of our leagues are fairly cheap. We do $35, $25 leagues. So I have a potential to win more here, so I might care more. Which means y'all might hear more about Devy because I'm actually going to be learning some stuff.
Going to get learned.
And if any of y'all do Devy like for yourselves and you do IDP or Devy research, I keep reading IDP on the little script, so I keep saying IDP. If y'all do Devy research on yourself, if y'all know a way that y'all just find random dudes who are like, yeah, it turns out this guy's really good, let me know because I'm not very good at just happening upon players because it takes me a little while watching them to know if they're going to be, not you can obviously find who's going to be the special guys, but the guys that are good enough to draft that have potential, but aren't just like clearly amazing talents. Because if I'm going this deep, those are some of the guys I'm going to have to draft. If you guys know how to find them, hit me up because I'd like to know because I do not know. I'm not going to know how to find the future. Oh, who's a 3rd round running back this year?
There's all these made up guys. Like, what's the Coprich? Is that how you say his name? That's not a real person.
I don't know. I didn't even put him in when Alex asked me to.
I promise that's not a real person.
Oh, who was it last year? Dreamius Smith?
Dreamius! The overlord.
I'm not going to be able to find Dreamius Smith in college football. There is, 128 teams or something like that? 120 teams?
It's impossible.
And then you got Division 2, which I don't even know how to find tape for Division 2. I'm just going to start Googling 2018 mock drafts, and whoever's on there, I'm drafting.
Yeah, just follow the Debbie guys, Kyle Pollock and Ray, and
but they don't even go deep.
they
don't go.
I mean, there's some good guys, man.
They don't go 30 Debbie spots deep enough.
I bet they do. There's some of them that are out there, man. Some of these guys are wild, like Nathan Tish and Fish. Some of these guys in these Debbie leagues, these things are freaking bonkers.
300 Debbie players, though? There's a lot of Debbie players.
No.
300 college football players. Granted, you actually get to draft quarterbacks, so because they have value in a 3-quarterback league. Imagine that. And even tight ends. I think tight ends have some kind of premium in this. But come on, I don't know how to find tight ends. I don't know how to find Jimmy. Can I start drafting basketball players and hope one of them turns into a tight end?
Into a tight end. Yeah, they gotta be a tight end.
Dude, there's a basketball player who's never played football before, but he had this bomb-ass combine, and we were actually supposed to talk about it, but I forgot to find the tweet.
He's from Baylor. I think he's from Baylor, so fuck him.
That's right, he is from Baylor. Apparently,
he's guaranteed to be a fucking degenerate criminal. Ah, man, that's wrong of me to just do that.
No, I mean, it's perfectly all right to have rival hatred. You're not hating on him based on, like, he's, black, or I don't even know if he's black, but, like, yeah, if it's racist, you're not hating on that. You're hating on it because he goes to Baylor, which, I mean, I don't care, but I can see why you care.
It's
just like how I don't like Ole Miss players. Like Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah. Hey, I just traded for a number 2 today. I traded Drew. We made a nice little interesting trade today.
Number 2.
A number 2. I traded for a 1.02 draft pick. Wow, that was this whole segment just really got bad.
Oh, dude, it's horrible. I'm gonna edit so much of this out.
Let's stop while we're not even ahead.
We haven't been ahead since we started. We both started drinking way too early tonight.
Oh, my goodness. I'm just barely venturing into the world of craft beers. This shit is wild, man.
Okay. We're good.
Drunk. Shut it down.
Oh, by the way, all you guys that watch on YouTube, you're welcome.
Click the button. Make it
amazing.
Go away.
This is amazing.
Click the button.
All right, we're gonna call it a night. You have any last parting shots for us, bud?
No. I'm sorry.
Come on, you gotta do this serious.
No,
Come on, I need you to do this serious because I can't edit out laughter.
All right, no final parting shots from me. Draft tomorrow. Let's do this.
All right, guys, remember, we've got a draft party going on Thursday. If you know people that might want to watch and they haven't listened to the show on Thursday, let them know. We're going to have an IRC chat or something to that effect open. We'll chat and bullshit with y'all all where we're going. We'll answer questions live because we're going to eventually turn it into just a straight-up audio podcast. Check out my rookie IDP rankings on UTH. They're going to get changed up in the next week or so. Thanks again to ffcouchcoach.com for hosting the podcast on their site. If you've got any topics, questions, whatever for us, you can either DM them to either Tyler or me. You can send them to the @Dynasty Playbook Twitter account, or there's a submission form on ffcouchcoach.com for the podcast site. You can also submit it there. Wherever you send it to us, doesn't matter. We're going to get to it on the show. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter @HBombIDP. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter @DrewDotsonNFL. With me has been my excellent co-host, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter @HBombIDP. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. And for all of you watching on YouTube, we're so sorry. All right.